demo of Liquid against Cloud9 on Dust2. Recently, EliGE said, or I made the mistake of saying that Liquid isn't in a default, and I blamed them for that. But apparently, EliGE stepped forward and he said, we're in a default almost every round, which is great. That's one thing I didn't see from them from gfinity and from faceit. I admittedly hadn't watched that many demos that they made, or even their matches when they're being casted by somebody. So, I mean, I'm gonna go into this saying, like, obviously, every single player in the server is a way better person and player than me. They have much better aim, better game sense, better mechanics, better everything. I'm an ant in comparison to everybody here, but I still am gonna go ahead and critique Liquid's gameplay because I think this would be fun to do, and because I think from what I just recently saw, like there are things in their team play that need help, but it's not from the start calling, let's say, right? So this is their pistol round. I think they immediately go into like a default of a 1-3-1, but it starts off as a 3-1-1, and then they try to put three people up cat. It's actually really good. I like their strat a lot. Actually, no, this is not pistol. This is that was second round. So going back to the pistol, like I was saying, so basically, I think they'll leave Flowsick to lurk around tons to mid, and then they had Fugly kind of lurk long doors. So here you have it. They have like the B tunnels are smoked, and the this is where the fake starts. Like Flowsick's gonna throw it. They have everybody in upper tunnels at first, so they hear footsteps. Like I really love this calling by Adren. But to be simple, like none of this is wrong from this. Like even I think EliGE throws a decoy, and then Flowsick throws I believe like another decoy in the smoke. All of that is fantastic. So I'd rather go into like why this round broke down. Really, it being pistol round, it's a very crucial round. So if you look back, like if you watch just Adren and what Adren is doing here, Adren's basically just like peeking mid, making sure that nobody's rushing mid, nothing's going wrong here. It's also like very strong by Adren. You'll see he's peeking mid. He has a smoke and two flashes. He's obviously going to be like the primary support player on this execute. And I think it breaks down really from how he supports. Like obviously he smokes mid doors, that's fantastic, and then he throws a flash just so he can kind of like go up and get up to cat, and so everybody can get up cat. So that's another way. Like he burned two flashes or one flash in smoke so far just so they can get up cat, and all of that's gravy. It breaks down starting like right here. Here you have Nitro leading with the bomb, and this is really just a timing and spacing issue. I think they knew, maybe Flowsick heard that this guy's rotating, one player's rotating right from B, and then they need to go like now. So Adren immediately throws the flash. If you see like right here, Nitro is dry peeking right now. He's, before this flash even pops or hits, like timing wise, it's a communication issue. So it could be any one of these players' faults in saying like, okay, I'm peeking, I'm flashing, I'll flash now, and the flash is a little late. But here you have Nitro just peeking out. He gets one tapped by Shroud when this flash isn't even up yet. EliGE, who I think is like one of the better entry fraggers in North America, he's not the first one out. Instead, Nitro is. I'm not too sure whose fault that is or what communication that is. But EliGE does a really good job of turning with the flash. I think Adren told him when the flash was. He turns his head, so he's not flashed. He's like minimally flashed, which you're always going to be as an entry. And then he turns. Now, Shroud is completely flashed here. Freakazoid isn't. Freakazoid in CT. I don't know if EliGE heard him in CT or not. But basically, Freak just makes a pretty sick play here from CT. he flashes him, and then he kills Leash like right off. So that was a good play by Freak, but if Nitro would have slowed down and EliGE would have made that first interaction, Nitro being behind EliGE, he probably could have traded EliGE and killed Freakazoid there. So you would have had at least Nitro alive. I mean, best case scenario. Now, if you look at Adren in this round, by the way, like, I really want to go back and show you this pistol round from like everybody's point of view. So in this round, after Adren is doing everything that he's doing here, which is all crazy and good, I think once Freak throws that flash, Adren was trying to... I'm going to have to go back to show it, actually, because I went ahead a little bit too much. But it looked like Adren was trying to, like, dodge his own flash, maybe? I don't even know. But... or he expected a counter flash, and he wanted to dodge that, despite the fact that Nitro just died. Like, he throws this flash, and he immediately turns, and he stayed turning. Now right here, where he is and where EliGE is, I think when he turns right now, he can see the flash. He's in no position to trade on EliGE. There's a molly right here. Him turning and not running with his own flash, like he turned and like almost stopped. He's in no position, spacing wise, to trade EliGE. If he was a little bit further, if he was like by the bricks or a little bit further on, possibly he could be trading EliGE for Freak, like right now, if he was turning and running. Freak throws that flash, Freak kills Adren. Right now, it's a 3v5. The round's pretty much lost unless somebody pulls like an extreme individual hero play out of their ass. Now you'll see Fugly finally starts to make contact out long, and that's also like an important factor, right, in the round. So we're just gonna look at Fugly, at what Fugly could have done better in this round, and how the round broke down here. Now Fugly's already long. To have a long player here, like, I don't know if he was communicating or not, but Fugly could have gave them a lot of information. Like, he didn't hear anybody cross into pit. He would be able to hear that right now, especially where he is and the sound that's going on. And he also, like, jump peeks long corner there. He doesn't see anybody there, and I think he starts playing it safe here, because he doesn't know if there are people long, and they're like, going to double peek it. Nobody naded long doors, so... I mean, there are assumptions that he could be making as a player here, and communications that he could be making as well. If his call from his IGL from Adren is like, don't get picked long, like, don't peek, we need you to fast flank there, just sit there and like lurk, don't worry about it, like, we'll make all the presents cat, and then you can come back from later, that's fine. But I feel like after he peeked long, Fugly could have even creeped up long and been at like long corner or blue bin at this point. Maybe try to like almost like bunny hop or air strafe outside of long doors into blue bin. Now you'll see like right now the bomb gets dropped into CT, everything's failing cat. Fugly realizes like everything that's going down, how everything's breaking down, and finally he's done. And he's shooting at Freakazoid. I mean, that's just an aim thing, obviously. Freakazoid wasn't really looking at him. Sometimes it's harder to kill people who aren't looking at you. Either way, this round breaks down. Flowsick did everything that he needs to do as a lurker, really. 1v5 from this position, there's not much he can do. He makes a step and he's found out. It's over for that round. I also want to look at like the force up right after this. If in the force up right after this, they buy Tech 9s and armor, and they go out long. And Adren is like being that great support player. This is not necessarily a bad call, but the way they go about it is just like god awful, if I can say so. People on Liquid are probably gonna be like really upset at me and be like, this shitty is terrible. He doesn't know what he's talking about. You should never talk about Counter-Strike again. They sit out here. They wait for like the pre-nades. That's all well and good. Actually, I skipped around, didn't I? Wow. Alright, this is the round. pretty much the same call. Nitro gets the flashes. I think everybody armors and everybody buys armor in Tech 9 except for Adren, who's like supporting them out, flashing for them and whatnot, and smoking corner. They wait for the pre-nades just like they do in the next round, but I think Nitro's going to be leading them out here. But you'll see what's going to happen like pretty soon. I went ahead a little bit. Basically, by the time they get to long corner, these guys all have Tech 9 armor, right? So Nitro's kind of clearing pit. He's being a good entry fragger. I guess he was hoisted into this role now or something. Now Adren smokes corner because it's what he's supposed to do, even though there's nobody corner. That's fine. I guess he wasn't getting information from his team, or if he was, he could have saved that smoke for the cross. But I think that's Flowsick. Flowsick will be smoking the cross, so it's already taken care of, really. But right here, this is where the round breaks down. Like, Nitro peeks with the flash, and I think everybody who has armor Tech 9 is kind of just sitting here and fighting a long distance fight with armor Tech 9. Like, in reality, what you need there is a player who just does not give a fuck and will, like, people just streaking up taking different routes and just pushing up. One guy pushing wide towards car, one guy pushing middle, one guy pushing tight, and you're all just spraying your Tech 9s like banshees and rushing Shroud right there at those barrels alone. Like, if you see Shroud has no support, he's picking that alone. Even, like, if he sees that, he would have probably backed off. Even somebody who's a sick aimer like Shroud. Maybe he kills you all. Maybe he does some sick Shroud play. But sitting there and, like, peeking this corner, taking this long-range duel with Tech 9s, I don't think this is, like... I don't know if this is what Adren called. It's like, yeah, guys, just sit there and, like, wait corner and just, like, shoot at him with your Tech 9s from really far away. If it was, it's the wrong call. If it wasn't, then it's just the wrong execution. At this point, like, the round's pretty much over. I think Flowsick, who was supposed to throw the smoke, is one of the first people who died. Finally, Fugly, like, lands that frag, and now it's actually a 3v4 situation, and everybody has rotated. So you'll start seeing, like, some pretty decent mid-round calls by Adren from here on out. Like, at this point, when they have 3 people A and 1 person mid because they saw everybody around, this is, again, here's Fugly sitting here with the bomb, like, fighting mid for some reason. This could have easily been ran all the way back through T-spawn, like, to B, and just try to make those close quarters combat initiations instead of fighting, like, bottom mid with a Tech 9 from, like, palm tree. They're finally getting up a little bit, but at this point, these kinds of engagements that they're taking on, these are not necessarily winnable engagements. Like, yes, if you have sick aim and they don't, you might win this, like, in open or in some scrim or some 10-man, but this just is not, you're not going to win these kind of engagements with the kind of weapons that you have and the kind of weapons that they have when their aim is just as good as yours, if not better. I'm talking about, like, Skadoodle and Freakazoid and Shroud. So, this round is pretty much over, I would think. Adren gets an MP7, gets a nice frag on Shroud, and saves.
Counter-terrorists win.
So the next round is just an eco. Ecos are pretty important, obviously, because winning an eco can change the tide of things. But with a flash and Glocks, I don't know if anybody's going to win anything. Long doors gets naded. They feel like somebody's close. He flashes out. I mean, Adren does. And again, here's Nitro leading the charge as the entry fragger. I think he goes up to long, and they're just like, screw it, let's not all go out. Not even peak long doors, let's just run back out mid, let's go up cat. And that's actually not terrible because Cloud9 didn't have that. But even here, like, I mean, if you look at like, here's the thing about like ecos. You can even just get a plant, even on like Dust. You can get a plant with just, you don't need guns to get a plant. You can get like 2 flashes and 3 smokes, and they could have just smoke trained cat and sight, and planted in the smoke, and just gotten a free plant out of that. I've seen Cloud9 do it. So this is a pretty important round. This is the gun round between Liquid and Cloud9. Let's break it down, shall we? Like immediately when I look at demos, like I'm not even necessarily looking at the gameplay. Everything that I'm doing, I'm just looking at the mini map, like seeing what Cloud9's doing. Cloud9, this is a pretty standard meta setup that Envious would do, getting 3 people out long doors and trying to crossfire long. So I mean they're getting Freak into pit and they're having Shroud play long corner almost, and then Skadoodle would op ramp. This is pretty much the same thing that Envious does with like NBK Happy and Shocks, or now Smiths goes ramp. But as you can see, like right here, you can kind of tell what kind of a default a team might have. I believe EliGE has gone up cat, and I think that's Flowsick and B-Tons, and they have Fugly at long. So, I mean, watching this round, you're seeing I think the Dren smoked long corner, and they're kind of just parsing out the CTs for information. It's funny that they had no one B, because a fast like B hit would have worked. And Cloud9 kind of realizes this. I think Nitro smoked like mid, and everybody on Cloud9 rotated for some reason, and they're gonna try to flash back into B. I don't know if Flowsick communicated this to his team, like how many footsteps he heard leaving B, but it was one. The mid, I guess the mid player never went back in. I think you need really good ears, and also to have like good comms if you're ever lurking, because you can pick up stuff and really have a good idea of like where things are breaking down. Now on the standard gun round, I'm pretty sure Adren is calling for them to go out mid, possibly. That's a really good flash by Nitro, and EliGE takes it up. Like this is fine. The spacing is really good actually. And flashing teammates out, like the flash timing is really good. I think once EliGE came out there and he didn't see anything, like there wasn't anything to really go off of. They kind of fell back though. They're kind of just like pecking around the map. EliGE uses one of his flashes to go up cat, and like immediately Skadoodle sees him, he spawn drops. Freakazoid, Scott's just fucking nutty. Freakazoid does the exact same pop flash, but Nitro dodges it this time. He doesn't do anything. I think Nitro sees Freak. I know Ska's down pretty low. At this point, like when you're breaking down a team's gameplay, like this is where it really comes in. I think Fugly's just trying to dodge flashes, and I'm not sure who threw that smoke. I believe it was Adren. It might have been Fugly. Either way, that smoke on Cat is pretty muddy. I run through it. And they're able to just kind of like safeguard. I believe it's Adren getting over there and planning. Nitro and Freakazoid were taking each other on. I want to look at this just from. This is obviously also like a super important round, right? First gun round. I want to just take this in from Nitro's POE. So Nitro's smoking, I think they're smoking out long doors. He's pretty much just like listening. I mean, when you play like this, like a lot of what you're doing, you're listening to what your in-game leader's calling. His flash out doors is obviously really good. They're waiting for that smoke to go out. EliGE flashes. Now, like right here, if Ska makes this shot and he doesn't have an 8 out, can Nitro trade for EliGE? No. Is the spacing good enough? No. Was he tight enough on EliGE? No. Like he should have been like 2 character lengths away here. Like EliGE, by the time EliGE is peeking this wide, Nitro should be peeking this close right here. So by like just the sheer luck of Ska having an 8 out on bricks and falling, EliGE, if he had like an op out, EliGE should be dead. And there wouldn't be a trade. And even considering that it's Ska, like he might have just killed EliGE and fell anyway, and Nitro wouldn't have been able to pick him even if he played it properly, or wouldn't have been able to trade him even if he played it properly. But you should still be playing properly. Like, and that flash from Nitro, and then him noticing Freakazoid's flashing him, he ducks it. That's not bad, obviously. I think Ska just falls. Nitro's full right. Adren throws that smoke. Now at this point, like, I think Nitro was elbow, but he really, I think he needs to get up here just so Adren can plant and not get aggroed. For some reason, I think Nitro knows Ska has an op because EliGE got picked from it, and yet he's still. I don't know why he's choosing to peek long, knowing that Ska has an op. Like that's another place where Ska could have just, like, if he just sat there and like watched ramp, so Adren wouldn't get aggroed from ramp somehow by Freakazoid while he's planning, that would be sufficient. Like he doesn't have to peek long to post up on ramp, but he doesn't do that. He dies. Adren plants in the smoke anyway. And Adren, I think Nitro's like, yeah, he's got 1 HP. Well, yeah, sure. If you would have just sat ramp and waited for Freakazoid to peek, he would be dead, and you would be alive, and it wouldn't be a matter of 1 HP. Adren has to chase us down. They finally get their first frag of the round, but they do have a plant, and they have cat control. Which, from here, I mean, they have what it takes to win the round as long as they don't make any bad decisions. Adren is reloading and kind of just, I don't know, waiting for somebody to jump peek him from CT. Letting the crowd go up ramp, and that's an easy frag. Like, he could be waiting and reloading in a plate, like, and watching somebody to, like, Kaylee him without exposing himself to ramp. So right there, Adren is exposing himself to, like, 2 different angles, right? He's exposing himself to the Kaylee jump, and he's watching the Kaylee jump, which is fine. But he's also exposing himself to the ramp and not watching the ramp. So, I mean, I guess if he was more worried about, like, a guy jumping USB tapping him, then he's a better player than I am for it. I mean, he's a better player than me anyway, but that does nothing to help his team, obviously. Fugly gets just double peeked there by, like, I think Shroud and nothing. It's not a position to be in. At this point, like, Freakazoid is in such a difficult spot. If he tries to peek the planner, the planner's just going to get covered by nothing. Just like what happened there. So, I mean, from like a calling standpoint, nothing that they're doing is all that terrible. Like these are good strats, these are good calls, this is good Counter-Strike from that point, but the spacing and the timing, some of the decisions are just like terrible. See, this would probably fall on Nitro right here, that Flosic died, because despite the fact that it's just like a forced buy, this is a pretty important buy, right? They could severely hurt the Cloud9's economy if they win on this round. but I think Nitro's, they don't have anybody really peeking mid. Nitro can't necessarily afford to. He just throws that smoke. I think that's how he always throws it. So it's a pretty big deficiency right there in Liquid's strat. If Nitro literally can't peek mid because he might get opt, then they should always be aware that there could be somebody rushing lower. And Flowsick does have a flash. He might be needing to use it for later, but he can always flash himself. He kind of checks it, but not really. I'm sure he could learn. He'll learn from that moment. Again, like this is just like something you don't see happening. Space-wise, he shouldn't have been able to trade that, but he just made a good play there and did with the Tech 9. Now it's a 4v4. It's pretty much favoring the terrorists, but you could probably see like a bad play here, or like a dry peek possibly by Fugly. Fugly's a smart player, honestly. He's just shoulder peeking this situation. I don't know why he re-peeked that. Looks like something I would do. I think Adren and them are trying to make it up cat. Fugly sees that there is some presence going. That's not bad. So Adren, this might be like a take on the exact same strat as earlier. Adren might throw that same smoke. This is a lot of what like you'll see NIP doing and Envious doing. So they smoke and they flash, and I think Nitro's gonna go out first. And this is great. Like the way that they're spaced here and their timing on the smokes and the flashes, I think they had it down. They're throwing extra flashes. Like even here, they're fully white. Like you have Tech 9s, could pause holding that with a bomb. Maybe you could have waited like a second more, but there's not much you can do. Yeah, I mean, if they would have known that there was going to be a second flash, or they were going to throw more flashes, Nitro could have waited. I think, I don't know, like, this is definitely a team that if they communicated their flashes better, they would be obviously winning more rounds if they just timed their flashes better, which is funny. That just comes with playing together and like chemistry. It's actually exactly what EliGE is saying. This is the second gun round, extremely important round. Obviously, like a lot of teams don't know it, but you could buy like armor, Tech 9, and free smokes if you lose the first 4 rounds, and if you lose the 5th, like you get the money bonus, so you can buy again. So it's pretty cool that they're not completely clueless, like money wise. Adren's actually making pretty good calls. In general, I think Adren is actually able to like peek mid and hold mid. That's pretty cool. Fugly got an op. He's going out, peeking long, and I think they're just stressing cat control. Nitro's flashing cat before he peeks it, but he's okay. So slow down. I thought he was gonna peek that all in, but he didn't. So there's smoke cat. I mean, they have control of mid on Dust2, which is pretty standard for T's. It's like a backwards mirage. I think Fugly took a shot out long doors, and that literally made Freakazoid and Shroud like have a lot of presence on, which means Fugly's doing a pretty good job. Of course, like the one thing I'm seeing here is Flowsick peeking. Even Flowsick, like what Flowsick was doing there, if he would have kept his eyes on tons, like obviously that's his job as a lurker, but he's also helping control the cat push, obviously. Like shit like that's just gonna happen. He thought he could do both. He kind of got overextended and just didn't make a shot there. If you've ever played any deathmatch on D2, you know that if you're stairs and somebody's like coming out of tons, it's a pretty decent battle, but you would have a bit of an advantage. So them being smoked out and already having these many eyes on Cat, I don't know necessarily if they needed Flowsick to be looking there too, but stuff like that is just like shit happens Counter-Strike. So if that happens to like any team, really, you'll get caught with your pants down. And I think Adren is making a call based off of that, based off of like them seeing nobody tons and being aggressive in tons. So I think he thinks like people are gonna shade towards A, which is a pretty smart call by Adren. It just didn't happen to be the right one. Maybe that's all metagame really.
Counter-terrorists win.
So I mean, could they have? One thing I didn't pay attention to when I wanted to is see at that point in the round if they had smokes or if they just wanted to like walk it out. I think he just wanted to walk it out because like right now they're pretty much out of anything. But honestly, EliGE having 2 flashes, hindsight's 2020, right? But EliGE having 2 flashes, he probably could have flashed out. It would have brought a lot more attention. I think they just wanted to like walk out and make the play on that. Didn't happen. Even Fugly coming out here mid with the op. Honestly, when I see teams like walk out, I don't know. I'm not a great player, but like a lot of times going for that searching pick where you're not flashing, you would go out with the op first, and maybe Adren could have made that first pick on nothing, and then he would have died to Sean Garris, and then a rifle would have traded him. I think Nitro was ready to attack nothing. They didn't expect him to go to spawn site. Obviously, all gone wrong. That's kind of unfortunate. I think Adren made the right call as an IGO, and just got like out meted by Sean Garris, probably. They would push and get that pick and keep 2 people please. Sort of the meta game, I guess. Here, I mean, they can keep buying every round. So I think I want to just do Liquid's C side really. Nitro smokes mid as he does pretty standard. They're all gathered up in front of Cat, which is like really strong. I think they do them on Cat, but that's fine. Ska makes that pick. And we can watch like this time if Nitro's we're just gonna make it through. I kinda wanna go back and watch just to see if Nitro's spacing is good enough here to trade out EliGE. Once EliGE got picked by the op. Yeah, so Nitro basically smokes mid. Like, these guys are so talented, and if Adren is calling like this, like, they have insane potential. If they can just play together more and work on, like, their spacing. So EliGE tosses that flash. Yeah. I mean, Nitro... Nitro's spacing is, like, perfect there, to be honest. Like, maybe if he had a AK, it wouldn't have been, but maybe if he had an AK, he would have, like, killed Ska there, actually. It's pretty hard. Ska's gonna make that shot and fall down. Kid's got the reflexes of a monster. They do that same, like, flash, and they molly Cat here. At this point, this is a good job by Fugly. Like, if a player like Fugly, like, this is what is asked of him. Is to just... So the player's gonna, when they know you're all Cat, they're gonna like push you and aggro you. You need somebody watching the flank. I mean, he's obviously not an idiot, so he's capable of doing that. They get a gun. But for him to come out here mid with the bomb, especially if he peeks that, yeah, that's just dumb. I don't know who called that. I mean, he's literally, Adren hasn't thrown his smoke, and Adren is throwing his flash now, and he's already peeking it. Like, if I was Adren, I don't know. this kind of stuff would just drive me insane because you have teammates that are just dry peeking stuff before you're even throwing a smoke or you're throwing a flash. It's almost like, why am I even here, guys? Like, let's just not buy smokes and flashes. We'll just go out and kill people. That's obviously not Counter-Strike, right? Again, the Dren has 2 flashes, and I think like Nitro peaks like window before anybody can do anything. So this is either this is like a communication thing, or it's just a timing thing, like, or a discipline thing. So it could be a lot of things, but when we saw Nitro, all I want to see is like why he's peeking out trying to get the what the fuck? That's weird. I don't know if he was peeking out trying to get like the trade there or what. But he was definitely taking a little further. It's insane that happened so fast. So Ska gets picked already, so it's not a matter of trading. Ska picks Fugly. I think Nitro goes out with the flash, pushes through the smoke. He's okay. So that flash that he went out with, that flash is not gonna flash what he's peeking. It'll flash mid just fine, but he's got to know. Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like these are the kinds of mistakes like I make, and I'm like one of the shittiest Counter-Strike players in the world. So Jordan still has 2 flashes, and I mean he could have flashed him again, but they decided to just peek it. And is this Shroud making it? Yeah, Shroud's just gonna make a heads up phase. Flash through the smoke. Just kind of
Counter-terrorists win.
I should have never got to that point though, obviously, but here's Cloud9. I mean, here's Liquid they can buy again. It's another gun round. This is pretty cool to actually review because we did a lot of gun rounds to go over. Nitro throws that same smoke. So, I mean, their default is fine. Like, there is absolutely nothing wrong with their default or how they're playing their defaults. It's literally like a matter of their timing together. And here's the worst part though, like their timing together, it's not like flow sync. It's not like, oh, we just added a flow sync, like he's new, so our timing's gonna be a little off. Like their timing together is like actually pretty good. Is not dependent, I mean, is not pretty good, it's terrible, sorry. Is actually not dependent on flow sync at all. It's all between like EliGE, Dren, and like Nitro, it's like their core guys, so. This is pretty good, at least like flashing up Cat if Sky is there, and throwing like a pretty mid to B-esque smoke. But literally, I think they might have like outweighted their hand, so to speak. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if this is just like a fast execute, but sometimes just go fast. Sean Garris gets wrecked here. Nothing comes to help. Yeah, this is great. That's all like pretty good CS. They trade. I think yeah, Flowsick kills Sean Garris. Nitro trades on Flowsick. Nothing trades on Nitro, and then EliGE trades on nothing. And even oh man, I want to see this play by Fugly. If Fugly made the right timing here, like, this is honestly like the kind of shit you might see out of a really good team. So I'm pretty proud. Like, Fugly's doing some pretty good racing here. He also helped throw the mid to B. Like, this is a great strat. I really like this. And then they attack B. And Fugly's just like walking up Cat, working around the smoke. waiting for shit to go down. And now he finally peeks. And, like, the timing is immaculate. Like, literally, Ska was just holding that angle. Like, that's why, like, that's the characteristics of a really good lurker. I don't know if anybody gives, like, Fugly shit for it, but, like, my timing is, like, god-awful, so I can never, like, lurk. And then Fugly doesn't take any more. Like, I think he heard Shroud there, he just wasn't gonna re-peek it. He doesn't need to. Like, that's pretty brilliant, obviously. He's looking for somebody long. I mean, obviously, here's somebody mid. Now, unfortunately, this is, like, the retake. If Freakazoid's able to, like, not even retake, because the bomb isn't even planted. That's something I need to go back to see, obviously. Oh, boy. I thought they had this round in the bag, honestly. This is a pretty... I mean, like... If you have a round like this and it doesn't go your way, I think, like, morale-wise, like, that's it. You're pretty much done, and you might just, like, pug it for the rest of the match. So, yeah. I think EliGE... Adren has the bomb. He smokes. He grabs an op, and I'm not too sure why. I don't know. Smoke, stores, flashes out, that's all good. 9 times out of 10, Freakazoid's gonna make this play. Yeah. I don't know, man. That must really blow. Like, Freakazoid pushing the smoke here and just fragging Adren. If Fugly would have given the right information to EliGE that Shroud is coming pretty soon here, I think he would be better off. Just like, I don't know, he's like aggressively right now. He's dealing with 2 people. Maybe like Fugly, once he heard Shroud and knowing how many people are in the bomb site and knowing that there's like 2 people or 1 person in the bomb site and knowing Shroud was CT or somebody was CT, and then figuring there's somebody missing, like maybe it was a long player, maybe it was Freakazoid. Like, once Freakazoid killed Adren, here, we'll see if he did it or not. The second Freakazoid killed Adren, he should have known Freakazoid isn't, like, flanking around, and that Freakazoid is, so... Right here, Freakazoid's playing the smoke. He doesn't know if Freakazoid's long or where that 3rd player is. The second Freakazoid killed Adren. Yeah, he knows. So he's kind of... No, he's still kind of peeking out. He's running out. And EliGE is fighting, like, both people. I think now he knows that they're both there. He's really just trying to make a heads-up play here, but they hear him. Unfortunately. Once EliGE died, like, that's it. Too late, bud. That is so heartbreaking. I mean, it was like right there. Because I just made a pretty ballsy play. Right? I mean, maybe it's EliGE's positioning that you could blame for that round, for him to be back plat while his teammate is planning window. Because I think, okay, yeah, that's pretty valid. If we look back at this round, so it's a learning experience, right? If we look back at this round, pretty heartbreaking round. All the trading is good. Once Adren goes to plant, EliGE probably shouldn't even be here watching window. Like, yes, it's smoked off, but like, smoke isn't walls, right? So imagine instead in this demo, you can imagine if like EliGE is right here, it was if he was here or car, he would have been able to save Freakazoid's life. Because if he was like, if Adren is planning under like the planning default basically, right? And if Adren is planning right here, right? And EliGE is sitting like here, Freakazoid would have to come out window. For him to be able to shoot him, he'd have to actually peek out and shoot him. If he comes door, he'd have to push the smoke and shoot him. So, I mean, with the issue of maybe them being tons, but that they wouldn't be because I guess Fugly's like on cat. I don't know, they maybe could have been from long and just like ran past Fugly or something, but I doubt that would ever happen. That would be kind of randy as fuck, right? Like, if EliGE was here in this position, when Adren's planning here, he'd be able to guard that push. Even though these doors were smoked, that wouldn't have happened. So yeah, if EliGE swung over here and was watching this, bam, Freakazoid's dead. So that's unfortunate. So, like, that round, it's not necessarily like a team thing. It's like a little thing that you can, like, learn from, just so it doesn't necessarily happen. And now I think, yeah, they're like, done with anything. Just like, fuck it. Let's just go out long and just take long and shoot them. I mean, when you're losing 8-0, like, everything's necessarily going to get thrown out the window and you're just going to try different shit. Actually, that's not bad. Them getting Fugly into pit. I really like that, actually. They took a lot of map control. Looks like they didn't even lose their heads. Like, I take back everything I said. And then they're falling back into tunnels. This is actually really good by them. For, like, immediate map control. So they already have Fugly long. And I think, like, Shroud and Freakazoid playing 2-cat, which is interesting. They kind of gave up long. I'm really interested to see what Adren would call from here. I think it's hard to tell that they have all this presence on cat. Well, that's a dead giveaway because I just threw that smoke. And they kill Ska. Yeah. I don't think they expected Freak to be there. Sometimes people lower levels. I want to see Nitro's perspective. Oh, Nitro, I think that was Nitro throwing the Xbox smoke, I'm not sure. But I like that they wanted to, like, go right out of this smoke and flash out of this smoke. You can kind of tell that that was a right smoke. Nitro goes right up. I think he checked. That's the funny thing. Nitro checks the boost, but he doesn't check directly behind him. That kind of blew us. My foot's asleep. Hell, if I was watching this demo, I would be asleep. Or maybe review this demo, sorry. I kind of wanted to see what Fugly did there. Pit. Jesus, man. Alright, so they're going up cat, and I think once they're flashing, like this timing as a team is really good. Fugly's making progress. He's not just sitting in pit still. Once they're flashing up cat, so like Fugly's playing this really well. As a teammate, he sees nothing's barrel, and I think he's gonna just make a play on nothing. And nothing just catches him out, really. I don't know, bruh. Bad ping or something. Something about his aim on that is, at LAN, maybe Fugly would have got that kill. I mean, like, the purpose of this, though, was to really, like, look at their default and look at their setup. I don't see anything wrong with their setup or their default. Two sides. When I watch this, like, literally, Adren is making really good calls, and he's like, if you look at what they did at Faceit or at, like, gfinity, like, it looks like a completely different team, which is awesome. Like, this is not the liquid that I used to know. Like, it's just the timing and spacing.
Counter-terrorists win.
Like, literally all of this will get better with time. The funny thing is, knowing Adren and knowing how smart and valuable of a player he is, he's probably already looked at this and came to the same conclusions. Scott's fucking insane. He's on that dissipating smoke. Like, once a match starts going in this way, I mean, I wanted to see if Adren would change things up ridiculously. And I don't think he has, really. Like, he's made minor adjustments. He's been able to keep his cool, really. Like, even though they're losing 10-0. I don't know, like, I wasn't in the mumble or whatever with them, but I'm not too sure if that's Nitro Splash. What if it was? He flashed, like, everybody. Like, just like, oh, shit, they're shooting through the smoke, let me just flash everybody. If it was, it's not a bad flash, to be honest. Picks up a flash right there. Like, Fugly is a pretty versatile player. That's what I like about him. Oh, he already... He threw it, but I don't know where that flash is. That flash lands, like, right in front of his teammates. And neither of them are turning. They're both, like, fighting. I don't know if he called it or not. And EliGE just, like, kills him before he's blind. Sean Garris kills him while he's blind. And Fugly just... I mean, that's what you want to trade like that, obviously. But... I don't know if that was, like, called out. If Scott and B palm is down. Now this is difficult. All they have is, I think, that smoke that he just used to re-smoke CT. And then Fugly has a nade and Nitro has a molly. And they have to kind of come up mid on Ska. Yeah. I'd be scared too. Coming into faceit on Ska like that. Scott was like, he was sure somebody's gonna come through doors. Like, nobody came through doors and he still killed somebody. at this point, I don't know anybody in the world who could make that play against Trap and Freakazoid with the bomb down and no nades. If that was like a better time, like if EliGE and who's that, Fugly, were Nitro was communicating with them and he throws that flash and they're aware that he throws that flash. I mean, what would we see from that flash? We saw Sean Gears and Nothing both got flashed. Like, it was a successful flash. Just, I guess nobody else knew that he was gonna throw it, because if they would have peeked with that flash, they would have been both blind, and then like Liquid could have gone from there. Shroud and Freakazoid crossfiring. They just try to like sneak out around doors. That's not the kind of trading you want. I'm not sure what the timing is on those peaks either. Like, to be honest, I've already done round after round after round, but like, just Fugly long. Fugly like peaks long corner. I guess he doesn't see anybody. So Freakazoid and Shroud, I think, are just kind of sort of waiting. No, Shroud just, they're just dry peeking each other. So like Fugly is dry peeking Shroud and expecting to beat him without a flash or anything. I guess that would work. And then EliGE is in no, I don't know. I feel like you guys have flashes and smokes. Why not use them? They're just like walking out, but what do I know, right? EliGE wasn't really in a position to trade his teammate. Adren was, though. Adren gets the trade. And then I think Freakazoid shoots Nitro and gets that as well. So Adren, I mean, Adren understands trading. It's awesome, but I guess the call there is just walk out dry. That's pretty cool. Like, if they would have done that with an op, they probably would have killed Shroud there. But it's a one-shot, one-kill, right? But I don't know. I don't know if Fugly's aim, if you're just telling him to like walk out dry against Shroud, and even okay, like looking back at this, right? This is kind of like Inferno in B. So you'll have one player who will be clearing sandbags, and yes, he needs help like in order to like trade me, but there also needs to be a player who's watching his corner, because if there is a player sandbags and you start engaging the player sandbags, that's when the corner player on Inferno like will come and peek and like shoot you in the side of the head, right? So Nitro flashes, but nobody goes with it. And now Nitro's watching the corner there. Yeah, it's just EliGE, I think, needs to be a little bit tighter to Fugly. But if they're walking out long, like EliGE is in no position to trade out Fugly there. Like, actually, if EliGE would have led that and Fugly would have gone second, Fugly probably would have traded EliGE. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't think that round would have necessarily gone well. I'm sure I could have gone into how and why it broke down and somebody didn't make a hero play, but once rounds come into like a 2v5 or like a 2v4 situation or anything like that, like it's not going to be very mistakes have already been made that kind of threw the round, so to speak. But I guess I could look over it. Oh, this is a whole other round. This actually looks like a good round for them. Wow. I'll have to get back to that one. Give credit where credit's due and whatnot.
Hey, wake up.
So right here we can follow our protagonist closely. I don't know what information they gave him, like one's coming out mid. But definitely if he was lurking B tons, right? He could tell them when like one of the B players are leaving, like somebody's leaving B and going mid. That's extremely helpful, obviously, right? And I think they're bringing this back to B on that knowledge while they're going 1-1-1. The Dren's taking point. They're kind of just double peeking this. Like, I think they do this a lot where they still have smokes and flashes, but they don't want to use them any. They just want to make first contact. And then I guess use their smoke and flashes for the retake if it is successful. I think a Dren finally killed Sean Garris there. Right? Enough and Dren needs to kind of like make that trade as well. It's kind of like a hero play, like I said. I would have been needed to make. This last round, this is probably the last round I'm gonna do. Oh yeah, so they already get this first pick. I like this. I'm not sure what, I think somebody went into lower this time. And usually they're not going to peek suicide to know that, right? If somebody's lower. But nope. At least just bunny hops his way to glory, I guess. Like, it's with Nitro, I think. Is that Nitro? Yeah. Those guys make a pretty mean team. No, that's not Nitro. That was Flowsick. So, last time when they died, I think Flowsick went down by himself, and this time they're like double peeking it with the guy. That's pretty good. They do the NOA boost here, or Cloud9 does the NOA boost, I should say. And at that same time, wait. The hell? I think Nitro just like ran up Cat, and Nitro has a lot of talent. He just got fed up at this point. Yeah, he's not even flashing his way up Cat or anything. I think he's not even gonna flash, he's just gonna run up and like, yeah. He just runs up. I don't think Ska was even ready for this. Ska was probably like looking at his mini-map. And he just runs up and like executes Ska. It's pretty badass. I think this is where they do the NOA boost. And immediately deboost. I think also Fugly is like fighting outside long doors with Freak. I should probably go into why that happened, since that's the next interaction on the map, right? I mean, this is how I like to like look at demos. It's just kind of like go back and forth between interactions again and again and again. So I like what they have Fugly do, which is like immediately put long pressure. Kind of like fast lurking there. It's pretty cool that Nitro just went up there. I don't think Fugly blocked it there. Freakazoid literally turns his head and Fugly, I don't even know what I thought that was, but yeah, overplayed his head. It was not stable when he shot. Maybe that's a movement thing. Maybe needs more aim training, kind of like myself. It's definitely a mistake I make sometimes. But Freak is pretty badly injured. I think even here, like... Oh man, you're kidding. See, now I can really probably like... Yeah. So Adren is somebody who I need to watch. Here on out. Nitro does a great job. I think Adren throws a flash. Flashes his team. Like, is this called? Are they communicating? His teammate is up Cat, he's made a frag, and Adren's mind is still stuck on throwing the flash. They know Freakazoid's still long right now, but they know that he's tangled up with Fugly 100%, and they have, who is that, Flowsick on Xbox? 100% they could be planning for Cat right now, while Nitro watches that. But I guess he decides to plant safe. And like, literally at this point, there isn't much that can be done. It's a nice molly for the camouflage and a nade. And I think, yeah, it peeks out and dies. Like, the bomb is planted. You're in a 3v3 situation. Freakazoid's low, so you could take him off the map, yes, but like, I don't know. You didn't? There's a guy with 12 HP and you have 100 and you died? Like, maybe that was a bad decision. I don't know. I feel like if they would have planted Cat and would have tried to like fall and back Cat. This is fucking heart-wrenching, dude. I want to see what nades they had when they planted. I don't think Nitro had much of anything. Yeah, Adren didn't either, really. They're kind of stuck where they are. Like, the only person with like a semblance of nades is our lurk here, Flowsick. Whew. I guess he's just making his way up. And they're both there. Oh, and they both died. GG. I mean, when you're losing 12-0, like, if this was first gun round, I'd be a little bit more upset. But at this point, like, you're probably just going through the motions. But yeah, I think that's something they could work on. There is like the post plant. Planning for Cat when you have a guy Xbox is pretty solid. Planning for Cat, and like Nitro doesn't even need to really come up to elbow there. Like, yeah, Fugly lost that duel. Freakazoid is low, but you could just play for Cat and play the plant. Flowsick has a molly. Like, he doesn't have to be the one flanking and going up CT and getting those frags. Like, him having the nade set that he has, he could have got up on Xbox and Nitro could have fallen back and gone to Xbox and flanked out. And Flowsick could have used his nades, like, delay the rotating CTs. He could have thrown a smoke, he could have thrown a flash, he could have smoked off CT maybe, he could have, like, I don't know if he could have got there in the timing. But there are multiple things he could have done there. Smoke maybe long, made it so the Freakazoid kind of delays. He could have mollied the bomb since he had a molly. But that's hindsight. That's 2020. And honestly, like, at that point in the round or in the game when you're losing 13-0, like, what does it matter? But yeah, those are my impressions. Obviously, great map control, great calling, great calls. Communication, not necessarily there. People aren't listening or people aren't communicating, aren't saying what they're doing. A few rounds lost by that. A few rounds lost by, like, just timing, working the timing on their flash. So if they work together more and they start communicating more, like, this could be a really solid team, and I think they should stick together. Like, I take back everything that I said about Adren calling, like, spawn executes. He's obviously hasn't been doing that. Like, from an execute or like a spawn and go, that's not the issue. It's not the issue of, like, the calls that are being made. The issue, if anything, comes from just like just the timing and the chemistry. Needs more chemistry, needs more scrimming, needs more communication, needs more discipline on communicating things, and more discipline on, like, let's burn our flashes. Let's burn our. If they burnt their flashes more, or they used their flashes more together, I think they could have played together. Like, this is what Get Right was talking about when I asked him what he thinks North American teams need more. He just said they just need to play together more, and, like, flashing your teammate or, like, shoulder peeking for your teammate so he can kill somebody, or peeking together with your teammate, or having the right spacing. That's all togetherness. It's all, like, teamwork. That's what Get Right means. But yeah, thanks for watching.